How Ehud, the left-handed man, saved Israel. In a time of oppression and hopelessness, when the Israelites were crushed under the weight of King Eglon's Moabite rule, God raised up a most unlikely hero. This man was Ehud, a left-handed warrior from the tribe of Benjamin. His story is a tale of boldness, divine strategy, and the power of God's guidance. For 18 long years, Israel had groaned under the heavy hand of King Eglon, a king so obese and cruel that his very presence symbolized the suffering of God's people. But Israel, in their desperation, cried out to the Lord, and in the silence of that plea, God whispered the name of Ehud. But Ehud was no ordinary man. Left-handed in a world where the right hand was considered the stronger, more respected hand, Ehud was looked at as an outsider, as different. But God knew. God always knows. And in the darkness of oppression, he chose the seemingly insignificant, the one who could move unnoticed through the crowd. With courage pulsing in his veins, Ehud crafted a double-edged sword, about a cubit long, concealed on his right thigh under his cloak. He took the risk. He went into the enemy's stronghold with nothing but his wits and the strength of the Lord. And when Ehud stood before the rotund King Eglon, whose arrogance and cruelty filled the palace, he did not tremble. He didn't flinch. With the boldness of a warrior chosen by God, Ehud brought the king a message, not a message of peace, but a divine judgment. The moment was now. King Eglon, thinking he was safe, thinking he was in control, rose from his seat. But Ehud, with the swiftness of a lion, reached with his left hand, drew the sword, and struck down the king in a way that no one expected. With a swift motion, Ehud delivered the judgment of the Lord, and in a moment of divine intervention, Moab's reign over Israel came to an end. But that was only the beginning. Ehud's courage wasn't the end. His actions sparked something greater. As he escaped, leaving the palace behind, the cry went out. The Israelites, inspired by the boldness of one man, rose up. Ehud led them in a decisive victory over the Moabites, reclaiming their land and their freedom. Ehud, the left-handed judge, brought peace to Israel for 80 years, not through might or power, but through faith, strategy, and obedience to God's call. His story reminds us that God doesn't look for the most obvious candidate. He doesn't always choose the strongest or the loudest. Sometimes he chooses the quiet, the overlooked, the seemingly weak, and through them he works his mightiest miracles. So remember, when God calls you to stand in the face of adversity, to rise up when all seems lost, don't hesitate. Trust his plan. You never know, like Ehud, you may be the one to bring deliverance. Type Amen if this story inspires you. For more powerful stories like this, like, share, subscribe, and follow.